What would you do if a beloved pet story suddenly revealed a life-changing truth about someone you loved? The late afternoon sun hung low, soft golden light brushing the weather-beaten siding of the suburban house nestled in the quiet neighborhood. Max, the aging golden retriever, moved slowly across the damp backyard, paws sinking slightly into the moist earth scattered with fallen leaves and forgotten toys. His golden fur, dulled by time and wear, ruffled in the gentle breeze, a silent testimony to years traversed beneath these skies. Birdsong was sparse here, muted by the distant hum of traffic and the occasional bark of a neighbor's dog. The air carried the faint earthy fragrance of autumn, mingling with the bittersweet scent of fading chrysanthemums near the porch. Max's deep, soulful eyes scanned his surroundings, clouded with the weight of invisible burdens, longing, confusion, and a silent plea for recognition. He paused beneath the shade of a gnarled oak, branches reaching like weary arms into the sky, and lifted his nose, catching a whiff of a familiar scent. For a moment, hope stirred, a fragile flicker amidst the lingering melancholy. Yet footsteps, sharp and brisk, interrupted the reverie. "Max, not now," a voice called out, clipped and distracted. Max's ears flattened as the family's youngest daughter hurried past, barely sparing a glance. A worn rubber ball bounced neglected beneath her feet as she vanished indoors, her hurried steps echoing the household's relentless pace, a rhythm that left Max adrift, invisible despite his steadfast presence. He lowered his head, a soft whimper escaping the sound swallowed quickly by the rustling leaves and the distant hum of the world moving on without him. Memories stirred beneath the surface, joyous afternoons spent bounding through sunlit fields, the gentle hands that once cradled and praised him, the quiet companionship of being seen and beloved. Those moments now felt like echoes from another life, their warmth distant, almost unreachable. A sudden uproar from the front yard startled Max, sharp voices laced with frustration and impatience thrusting him further into the periphery. His collar, once gleaming and proud, bore the dulled sheen of neglect. It pressed against his neck like the unspoken chains of faded loyalty and disregarded devotion. The sky shifted. The warm golden hues gave way to cooler, steelier shades as clouds drifted overhead, carrying the quiet threat of rain, a mirror to the chill settling within Max's aging heart. Each step forward was heavier, slower, as though the weight of misunderstanding and dismissal bore down on his limbs, fueling a quiet sorrow beneath his dignified stillness. His eyes caught a flicker of movement from the porch, the family's mother, wrapped in a shawl of distraction, casting a fleeting glance his way before turning inward. No hand extended, no soft words, no soothing touch. The absence echoed like a hollow refrain, deeper than words could measure. Max found a patch of worn grass beneath the half-fallen swing and settled down with a resigned sigh, the earth cool beneath him. As the sun dipped lower, shadows stretched long, blurring the line between light and dark. The garden, once vibrant with laughter and life, felt quiet, now a stage set for memories and rejection. Max closed his eyes briefly, the gentle rumble of distant thunder, a faint herald of changing tides, both in weather and in heart. He was loyal, steadfast, yet unseen, a silent guardian waiting for the warmth of recognition to return amidst encroaching dusk. The breeze lifted soft whispers from an unseen canvas hidden away, a story left untold, waiting for a hand willing to remember. A single droplet fell from the clouded sky, tracing a cooling path down Max's fur. The world moved on. But in that quiet moment, beneath the fading light and the gathering storm, Max remained a figure of faded glory, waiting in the shadows for the dawn. The sun dipped low beyond the treetops, casting long shadows over the narrow backyard where Max wandered with slow, measured steps. His golden fur, dulled from the dust of neglect, blended softly with the autumn earth beneath him. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp leaves and the distant tang of smoke from the neighbor's fireplace, yet to the aging dog, the familiar world felt faded and hollow, as if time itself had erased the warmth he once knew. Max's tired eyes scanned the yard, catching shadows that no longer danced with laughter or the pitter-patter of small feet. He paused beneath the ancient oak, fur trembling as a gust of wind stirred brittle leaves into a swirling dance of amber and gold. In that swirl, memories came flooding back: the warm hands that buried his head in smiles, the joyous runs across sun-drenched fields, the gentle voice calling his name with love and devotion. But the echoes of those days had grown distant, drowned beneath the current waves of silence and forgetfulness. The house beyond held the hurried footsteps and muffled conversations of busy lives, ticking clocks of routines that left no space for him. The voices, once soothing, now brushed past with indifferent murmurs, as if Max were no more than background noise in their hurried lives. Inside, the creaking of floorboards testified to the restless motion of a family engrossed in their own worlds. Max's collar glinted dully in the waning light, a lone badge of loyalty worn thin over years of silent endurance. The tag, once shiny and bright, now bore the patina of countless days spent waiting. Tonight, a faint sound drew Max's Gazia-whispered plan discussed in hushed tones from the living room. Words like renovate, attic, and clean out floated through the cracked doorway, brushing against the silence where Max sat watch. His ears pricked, pulse quickening in anxious rhythm. The attic. A place long closed, locked away like memories buried deep beneath layers of dust and time. Max's eyes reflected a flicker of hope tangled with dread. What did it mean, this stirring of forgotten space? Would the family find the relics of their past, the moments where Max had been more than a shadow? But the voices held no warmth, only cold practicality, discussing the space as though it were a thing to be discarded rather than preserved. Alina's footsteps echoed faintly nearby. She paused, casting a glance at Maximilian, the younger son. A silent exchange passed between them, weighing plans that seemed to dismiss Max's presence as negligibly a mere obstacle to be overlooked. Max let out a subdued whimper, the sound barely breaking the thick air. The garden's fading light mirrored his fading hope. Yet beneath the quiet ache, a faint ember glowed, a subtle current of resilience coursing through his aging heart. He stood, fur bristling softly against the cool evening breeze, and took a measured step toward the house where love and neglect lay entwined. His gaze flickered northward, toward the attic window, dark and shut, holding within it secrets of a time when he had been cherished. The promise of rediscovery shimmered faintly in the dusk. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying with it a whisper, perhaps the faintest echo from the past, or the softest call of a future still unwritten. Max's nose lifted to the air, catching the scent of old paint and hidden stories, a silent invitation to cross thresholds forgotten. With cautious hope threading through his melancholy, Max settled on the threshold of twilight, the fragile space where rejection met the first stirrings of change. The deepening shadows cloaked him, but the softly quiet world seemed to wait as if holding its breath for what was yet to come. The late afternoon sun was waning, draping the suburban home in long, honeyed shadows as the young daughter wandered curiously toward the attic door, its surface dust-laden and neglected, a barrier to forgotten memories. Max watched silently from the yard, his golden fur muted by the soft twilight, eyes reflecting a wisdom too heavy for his weathered frame. The house hummed with muted energy, a symphony of passing time and fading attention, but beneath the surface, a story lingered, waiting to be unearthed. The daughter's small hands lingered over the rusted lock. She tilted her head, sensing mystery in the neglected space, her breath shallow in the quiet. The lock gave way with a creak that echoed like a whispered secret, releasing a stale breath from the attic's depths. Max's ears twitched. A subtle shift rippled through the air, as if the past stirred awake. Inside the hidden space, broken beams and dust motes floated in shafts of soft, golden light. The atmosphere was thick with history, stale yet alive with quiet anticipation. The dust-draped canvas leaned against the rafter, its surface cracked and weathered, yet strikingly vivid, an image of a dog, noble and radiant, eyes deep with trust and loyalty. It was Max, younger then, immortalized in colors that sang of vitality long since dimmed. The girl's breath caught. She reached out, fingertips just touching the faded painting's frame. The scene tugged at something inside Hera, past entwined with the family's heartbeat, a past where Max was not merely a shadow but a central figure in their lives. The canvas radiated silent stories, bearing the weight of unspoken moments, love and devotion bound in brushstrokes. Max approached slowly, regal despite his age, his gaze locking onto the portrait, a bridge spanning years of neglect and disregard. The collar he still bore shimmered faintly in the muted light, a steadfast symbol of his unwavering loyalty amid fading memories. As the dust settled in the still air, the family's youngest stirred the fragile bonds linking past and present, igniting an unspoken curiosity that danced on the edge of recognition. The attic, once a locked chamber of forgotten echoes, now breathed with possibility. Max lifted his head, nostrils flaring with the scent of reclaimed history, a low rumble rising deep in his throat, not a bark but a soulful sound carrying years of enduring devotion. It was a call to remembrance, a silent affirmation that though the family's attention had faltered, his heart remained steadfast. Outside, the fading sunlight cast a warm glow through the leaves, the air charged with a whisper of renewal. The attic door, once closed and heavy with silence, now stood ajar, an emblem of the unspoken truths yearning to be told. In this delicate twilight, the intersection of past neglect and the first light of rediscovery, Max's spirit stirred with quiet hope. The old canvas, the locked attic, and the steadfast collar converged into a tapestry of loyalty and love transcending years of distance. The shift was subtle but profound. A journey beginning with a touch, a glance, a spark of recognition destined to weave a deeper understanding between a dog and the family who once held him close. The scene lingered, a tableau bathed in golden light and shadowed memory as Max settled beneath the open attic window, his eyes soft with reverence and unspoken yearning. The faint crest of a breeze fluttered the edges of the canvas, as if the house itself breathed a welcome. In the hushed breath between day and night, between memory and awakening, Max and the family felt the first pulse of reconnection, a quiet, enduring light glowing steady amid the fading dusk. A gentle autumn mist curled through the suburban streets as early morning light filtered softly through amber leaves, dusting the quiet yards in a warm, golden haze. Max, the aging golden retriever, moved slowly yet purposefully across the dew-kissed grass of the backyard, the familiar scents vivid reminders from a life that felt simultaneously close and heartbreakingly distant. His soft, wise eyes caught the diffused light twisting through trembling branches, reflections of a past where his presence had been cherished, his loyalty rewarded. Now, the shadows seemed longer, the spaces between footsteps wider, and the echoes of laughter that once surrounded his every move grew fainter and more elusive. Suddenly, a summons from within the house, a sharp, clear voice slicing through the stillness lured Max towards the back door. He hesitated only a moment, then padded toward the sound, nostrils flaring to identify the familiar yet distant figure of the family's young daughter. Her eyes sparkled with fresh curiosity as she bore a discovery from the attic, a dusty canvas, long hidden, its surface cracked but vibrant beneath the grime. The painting revealed an unmistakable form, a golden retriever poised with quiet dignity, eyes twinkling with warmth and vibrant life. Max lingered at the threshold, nostrils lifting as the scent of the attic mingled with the whispers of rediscovered memories. The girl's voice was breathless as she spoke softly, "Look, it's you. You were loved." Inside the house, light flickered on walls and faces changed with shifting moods, hesitant questions, surprised gasps as family members were drawn to the attic's unveiling. The dust motes danced in warm sunlight, threading moments of forgotten joy through the heavy air. For Max, the moment was fragile yet profound. The canvas spoke volumes beyond words, a vivid testament to past devotion etched into color and shadow. Yet, beneath the surface of admiration, a tension simmered. Misunderstandings and unspoken regrets wove through the family like threads of a worn tapestry. Conversations sparked and faded in whispered tones, fraught with skepticism and guarded hope. Max, sensing the complexity yet unaware of the full weight, wagged his tail softly, each wag a tiny rebellion against the fading attentions and creeping neglect. He followed the young girl's eager steps toward the attic, the old wooden stairs creaking beneath her, the smell of wood smoke and time-worn fabric filling the air. Each step carried the ache of years lost and the tremulous promise of rediscovery. The canvas hung awkwardly amidst stacks of forgotten treasures, the presence of the painted Max casting a quiet shadow of recognition over the room. As the family circled thoughtfully, a silence fell, not of peace, but of cautious awakening. Outside, leaves shifted in a whispered breeze, the world holding its breath as past and present met in the dim light of an uncovering. Max, the aging guardian of memories, settled on the worn attic floor, eyes reflecting the flickering window light and the unspoken question lingering in the air. Could this fragile moment be the first thread in weaving a frayed bond back to life? A distant rumble of thunder warned of storms yet to come, and as the clouds darkened, so too did the certainty of change remain unresolved, poised delicately between hope and the shadows of old wounds. The soft morning light filtered through the half-open attic window, casting dust motes into the beams like fleeting memories suspended in air. Max lay at the foot of the attic stairs, his aging body stretched, muscles weak but eyes sharp and alert behind the sheen of time worn upon him. Around him, the attic breathed secrets, weathered trunks, faded photographs, and the smell of forgotten years mingling with the dryness of sun-bleached canvas. The family gathered quietly nearby, an uneasy hush replacing the earlier curiosity. The enigmatic dog in the canvas, Max in his prime, held their gaze, an unspoken question hanging in the charged silence. Some looked at Max with softened eyes, a tentative warmth returning, while others hesitated, uncertainty and conflict etched in their brows. "Are you sure these mean what we think they mean?" The father's voice was low, cautious. He studied the paintings, brows knit in disbelief. The young daughter, clutching the canvas, looked up sharply. "They can't be wrong. That's Max. I remember him like that when he was part of everything." A murmur rippled through the room, but skepticism lingered thickly, taut as a fragile thread threatening to snap. There were glances cast sideways, barely concealed judgments, uneasy shifts in posture. Max lifted his head, nostrils flaring as the quiet tension brushed his senses. His collar jingled faintly as he made tentative steps toward the gathering, each one slow but sure, a silent plea for recognition, for the lost affection his years demanded. The mother sighed, voice strained but softer than before. "It's hard to face what we've overshadowed. But maybe it's time." But just as a fragile bridge seemed to form, a voice entered from the doorway, the uncle, sharp-eyed and more rigid than the rest. "We can't rewrite history based on sentiment. These paintings, they're just art. A friend's quirks. Not proof of anything real." Tension thickened like fog. Lines were drawn in quiet glances, disbelief clashing with hope. Max's tail wagged hesitantly, unsure whether to trust the sudden warmth or brace against the chill of dismissal. His gaze sought the young daughter's steady eyes. Hers were filled with an unyielding glimmer of belief, a fragile alliance between neglected past and uncertain future. With deliberate care, the daughter held out the canvas, now fully uncovered, its colors vivid shadows against the worn attic walls. "This is who he was," she said, voice clear and trembling. "Not just a dog left behind. He was family." The room fell silent again upon her words, a stillness that felt less like peace and more like a breath held on the precipice of revelation. Outside, the wind rose, tapping the old windows with urgent insistence, as if nature itself urged the family to confront truths long buried beneath years of neglect and unspoken hurts. A crack in the old floorboard shifted beneath Max's paw, a subtle yet telling tremor in the attic's fragile foundation. It seemed a symbolic reminder. Beneath the surface of denial and misunderstanding lay layers yet to be uncovered. Max closed his eyes briefly, the soft breeze lifting his fur, carrying with it the faint scent of forgotten moments and the possibility of healing. His journey, tangled with shadows and light, had taken its first tentative step toward redemption. Yet as the attic's heavy silence pressed on, uncertainty loomed. The path to acceptance was fraught, the fragile promise of renewed bond burdened by misunderstandings still waiting to be unraveled. In the waning light, the canvas glowed softly, the painted eyes of the young Max seeming to watch over the room, a silent testament to loyalty enduring beyond neglect. The scene held a tableau poised between past and future, fraught with tension and hope. Before the door creaked softly, a new presence stepping quietly into the unfolding story. The attic was cloaked in shadows, the muted light from the small window casting fragmented patterns upon the floorboards thick with dust and neglect. Max stood quietly near the base of the stairs, the soft padding of his paws barely disturbing the silence, his wise eyes reflecting a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The canvas, once hidden and forgotten, now hung exposed, a stark beacon amidst the faded remnants of the past. Around him, the family gathered, their faces a careful mix of curiosity and guarded skepticism. The walls, adorned with paintings and sketches, whispered untold stories, the colors muted but vibrant with memories pressed beneath time and silence. The air was heavy with unspoken questions and the fragile hope of reconciliation. A sudden breath broke the hush. "These pictures," the mother began hesitantly, voice trembling as if revealing a secret long buried, "they were the work of Eleanor, your father's old friend." Eyes flickered with surprise and uncertainty. Eleanor, the late artist whose brush had captured more than mere likeness, the love, the loyalty, the silent guardian that was Max at the center of their lives. Suddenly, the paintings were not mere decorations but living witnesses to a bond overlooked and misunderstood. Max's tail flicked slowly, sensing the shift, a tentative step toward remembrance. Yet, tension lingered. Doubt and misunderstanding wove an invisible shroud, thick and oppressive. The father's voice cut through, cautious yet firm. "We never knew the full story. Maybe it's time to face it." A ripple of murmurs ran through the room, fractured glances exchanged, a subtle but palpable unraveling of the walls that had kept Max at bay for so long. But the sheen of warmth was tinged with bitterness. Past neglect echoed louder now, the ache of years cast in sharp relief against the tentative awakenings of affection. Max's gaze swept across the room, resting briefly on the young daughter who held the canvas with reverence and hope, then slowing to the indifferent faces hardened by years of misunderstanding. In the quiet, Max approached, his collar catching the light, a symbol steadfast and unyielding, a silent testament to loyalty that endured beyond neglect. His soft whimper was barely audible, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken years. The family's youngest son spoke softly, eyes downcast. "I never realized how much he's been part of us." The mother exhaled, a long, fragile breath that seemed to release the tension knotted in the room. "He's been forgotten for too long." Max lowered himself, resting his head gently on his paws, as if accepting both the pain and the possibility of healing. The attic's stale air carried a bittersweet hope, a promise veiled in complexity and the challenge of bridging long silent divides. Then, a sudden knock at the attic door startled them all. The air thickened with suspense as a neighbor's voice trailed in, rough and edged with memory. "I remember the night it all changed about Max." "There's more you need to know." Max's ears pricked, his eyes brightened with recognition, a hint of a past intertwining with the present, and a doorway opening wide toward truths yet uncovered. The canvas seemed to glow softly in the fading light, alive with the untold story of loyalty tested and love enduring beyond words. As the family hesitated, the attic held its breath, the beginning of a reckoning, a turning narrative that would unravel the shadows entwined around Max's silent devotion. The chapter closed with the attic's heavy silency and expectant pause, where past betrayals and future hopes converged. And in that hush lingered the unspoken question: how far will they go to reclaim a bond almost lost to time? Gray clouds hung heavy over the suburban town, casting a cold, unfeeling shadow across the weathered house Max had once called home. The usual warmth of late afternoon sunlight was absent, replaced by a biting chill that mingled with the dampness seeping from the earth. Max, now slowed by years yet dignified in his noble decay, lay slumped on the cracked concrete of the backyard's forgotten corner. His golden fur, dulled and crowned with streaks of silver, bristled faintly against the impersonal wind. His eyes, deep wells of wisdom and silent pain, gazed blankly into the fog drifting low over the fence. Inside the house, laughter and voices echoed faintly, sounds once intertwined with Max's every heartbeat, now alien and distant noises filtering through closed doors and hurried steps. The family was near yet unreachable, wrapped up in their own concerns, moving past him like shadows that passed without a glance. The warmth and affection that once flooded Max's existence had receded, replaced by neglect's freezing touch. He was a relic, a ghost of loyalty betrayed by time and dismissal. Days earlier, the attic door had creaked open, unleashed dust motes dancing eerily in the stale air like lingering memories disturbed. Yet, as they delved into the past, uncovering portraits and faded canvases, old habits proved stubborn. The family's tentative outreach was tentative, half-hearted at best, the novelty of discovery quickly fading beneath the daily grind of distractions and unspoken doubts. Max attempted to stake claim to their attentions, the soft whines, the hopeful nudges against tired legs, but these gestures went unanswered or were gently brushed aside. The collar around his neck, a worn token of unyielding fidelity, seemed heavier now, binding him to a fading identity that the family no longer recognized. The paintings that once whispered untold stories now loomed as silent judgments, frozen in time, refusing the man and dog to reclaim past bonds. The backyard, a stage of his youth's vivid adventure, had become a walled prison of isolation. Max shuffled through the mud and fallen leaves, scenting fragments of lost moments, the cold seeping deep through his paws and into his spirit. His breaths formed fragile clouds into the frosty air, each exhale a quiet surrender to the erosion of belonging. Outside, a neighbor's voice floated over the fence, sharp with recollection and unspoken accusation. They never cared enough. The words stung like bitter frost, barely audible but piercing. Max's ears twitched, the ghost of a bark swallowed by the heavy silence that followed. His gaze faltered to the attic window, dark and forbidding, a tomb sealing memories and irrevocable truths. The afternoon waned, shadows deepening, cold pressing like a shroud. Max curled tighter against the earth, eyes half-lidded but reflecting a storm within. The world he knew, love, purpose, identity, slipped further beyond his reach. The sky above, streaked in leaden gray, seemed to clutch the earth in its oppressive embrace. There was no comfort in the fading light, only the relentless passage of time erasing footprints and memories alike. Max lay still, his body a quiet monument to loyalty tested and neglected, a golden shadow lost in the gathering dusk. And as the first tentative drops of a gathering rain tapped rhythmically on the silent windows, the house, the yard, and Max himself held their breath in the heavy pause, a fragile moment swelling with impending unraveling, the prologue to a fracture that no canvas could hold. Night had fallen thick and heavy, smothering the warmth of the day with an unforgiving chill. Max lay curled beneath the stairwell, the faint breaths he drew shallow and uneven in the stifling silence of the house that seemed to close in around him. The muted glow of a single streetlight filtered weakly through the front window, casting long, wavering shadows upon the fading wallpaper and scuffed wooden floors, ghostly echoes of times when laughter filled these halls. His eyes, soft yet weary, flicked restlessly across the dim space, struggling to hold on to fragments of familiarity. Memory clawed at him, soft pats on fur, whispered names, the feel of a hand once warm, but those moments had grown cold, distant, like shadows retreating beneath an encroaching fog. The house itself seemed to breathe in quiet desolation, every creak and sigh amplified in the vast emptiness. An unsettled storm murmured low somewhere beyond the walls, the damp chill pressing against Max's coat, seeping deep beneath the surface. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten promises, the ghosts of long-suppressed affection weaving through the room like tendrils of sorrow. Max rose with a slow, trembling effort, the ache in his limbs a stark reminder of the years that had stretched between him and the family who once claimed him. He paced uncertainly along the hallway, each step tentative as he sought a familiar face, a hint of the love that now seemed as elusive as the fading light. Doors closed softly around him. Voices murmured just beyond hearing, their words cloaked in the shadows of the past, fragments of misunderstandings, regrets, half-forgotten spats that had frayed bonds as surely as time had frayed flesh and fur. He stopped at a cracked mirror in the hallway, the glass mottled with age. His reflection stared back, a golden blur streaked with white, eyes dimmed but still fiercely loyal. The dog collar, frayed yet intact, symbolized years of devotion that no neglect could erase. But in that reflection, Max saw not a companion, but an island adrift, surrounded by vast, uncharted silence. The distant ticking of a clock marked time's slow passage, each second heavy with the weight of absence. Max pressed his muzzle to the mirror's cold surface, as if trying to cross the boundary between what was and what remained. A faint whimper broke the silence, a soft sound swallowed quickly by the heavy stillness. Outside, rain began to fall, each droplet a tiny pulse against the windowpane, an echo of the tears and the fractured trust that could not yet find voice. The attic stairs creaked uneasily above, their shadowed origins a constant reminder of memories locked away, hidden from sight, but never truly gone. The old canvas rested there still, the haunting image of young Max staring out with vibrant life, a stark contrast to the fragile figure pacing below. Max's steps faltered. He retreated slowly back to his corner, curling into a tight ball. His eyes closed, not in sleep, but in desperate clinging to the fragments of a fading hope. The room seemed to fold inward, swallowing him whole as silence deepened into an abyss, an emptiness echoing lost too vast for words. And in that endless stillness, Max hovered on the cusp, of fragile heartbeat suspended between surrender and the faintest, flickering trace of resilience. The faint light of dawn filtered weakly through the attic's lone window, dust motes dancing in the quiet wake of the night's lingering silence. Max, weary and diminished, lay curled in the corner where the cool floorboards met the rough wooden walls, the heart of the house's forgotten memories. His body, though frail, still bore the strength of countless years of unwavering loyalty, his wise eyes reflecting a loneliness carved by time and neglect. The attic felt heavy, suffused with the dust of forgotten years, shadows pooling thickly in every corner like the unspoken regrets hanging between Max and the family he longed to reclaim. His labored breath stirred the still air, mingling with the faint scent of aged paper and dried paint, a sensory tapestry woven with wistful echoes of happiness long since eclipsed. Near him lay a canvas, its surface cracked and worn, depicting a vibrant young Max in midleap, eyes sparkling and fur aglow in the golden light of a sunlit afternoon. The brushstrokes bore the tender hand of a friend, a voice frozen on fiber and pigment that spoke of devotion and days when Max was the heartbeat of the home. The painting was a fragile artifact of truth amid layers of silence. As Max's gaze settled on the image, a quiet sound disrupted the stillness, a soft shuffle from the attic stairs, tentative footsteps echoing softly across the hollow space. The youngest son emerged, clutching a faded, folded letter stained with time and care. There was hesitance lingering in his eyes, vulnerability wrapped in the weight of family history. He approached slowly, the letter's fragile edges crinkling beneath his fingers. "Max," he murmured with reverence, kneeling beside the faithful dog. "There's more here, something you helped with, long ago. Something we forgot." The aged retriever lifted his head weakly, nostrils flaring at the scent of hope carried within that fragile hand. His tail twitched, a faint beat in the symphony of suspended time. The boy's voice faltered yet grew steady as he unfolded the letter, eyes scanning scrupulously. The words revealed a secret long buried, Max's silent courage in a dark moment, his protection and loyalty saving the family from disaster. The discovery was not just history but redemption, a beacon shining through years of misunderstanding. Max leaned into the boy's touch, a low murmur rumbling deep in his chestnut canine, not human, but a bridge between heartbeats lost and found. It was a whisper of recognition, of bonds unbroken by neglect. Outside, the dawn light strengthened, the lighthouse's beam steadying to a calm, unwavering pulsee symbol of endurance illuminated against the retreating shadows of night. The warmth of early morning kissed the attic's musty corners, breathing life into forgotten spaces. In that fragile moment, the weight of rejection softened, replaced by the fragile promise of restoration. The attic, once a tomb of silence, became a sanctuary of reclaimed truths and the fragile beginnings of forgiveness. Max's eyes closed briefly, a sigh passing from his lips as the world shifted beneath the promise of renewal. The letter lay between tame a testament that love, loyalty, and memory could transcend even the longest silences. The sun rose higher, a soft glow flooding the room, as if heralding the first steps toward a healing yet to come. And in the stillness of the awakening morning, Max and the boy remained anchored by the fragile spark of rediscovery, poised at the cusp of a journey that could reclaim lost light amidst the shadows of forgotten dreams. The morning light spilled softly through the half-open window, casting a warm golden glow upon the weathered walls of the family's living room. Dust motes danced lazily in the gentle rays, settling on framed photographs and the edges of a new canvas resting on the old easel's surface gleaming faintly in the subdued light. The air was thick with the scent of rain lingering from the night's storm, and a quiet, tentative hope had begun to blossom amid the shadows of betrayal and loss. Max carefully stepped into the room, his fur catching the sun's warm touch. His gait, though slow and stiff with age, carried a quiet dignity, a sense of purpose he'd long hidden beneath layers of neglect. His soft, wise eyes, reflecting decades of loyalty and silent suffering, watched the family move about with hesitant, renewed intent. The house seemed to breathe anew, the heaviness of the past lifting just enough to allow whispers of hope to surface. The family paused as the eldest daughter, her face touched with a rare tenderness, gently touched the surface of the untouched canvas. The colors faded but still vibrant beneath the dust showed Max in moments of pure devotion, eyes shining with loyalty and love. Her fingers trembled slightly, unable to believe this was the same dog she'd dismissed and overlooked for so long. The father, who had been tightly holding back emotion, looked at the canvas and then at Max, a flicker of remorse crossing his face. "He's been with us all along," he murmured, voice thick with unspoken regret. "Even when we failed to see him." The mother's hand reached out, hesitating, then softly stroked Max's fur in act of tentative reconciliation. The old dog pressed his head into her palm, a deep, peaceful sigh escaping an assertion that despite the neglect, his loyalty endured. Outside, the sky began to lighten, soft streaks of dawn breaking through the bruised clouds. The world was awakening, and so was the house walls that once echoed with silence and betrayal now carried the faint whispers of forgiveness blooming like fragile wildflowers in spring. Max's gaze lingered on the family, a quiet, unwavering hope flickering in his eyes. Perhaps, this was the first step in awakening of mutual understanding, a whisper of change in a house woven with decades of silence. He slowly settled onto a worn cushion by the window, his presence a silent testament to loyalty's quiet resiliency and unspoken promise that love, once hidden and neglected, could still find a way to bloom again. The morning grew brighter, the sunlight spilling warmth across the room, bathing the canvas in a gentle glow, an emblem of hope, of stories yet to be rewritten. The house, bathed in light and softened shadows, stood on the brink of renewal, a quiet testament that even the most silent of bonds can endure and eventually find their voice. The morning sun cast a warm amber glow through the large front window, illuminating the worn living room where the family gathered in hushed anticipation. Fresh warmth contrasted with the lingering shadows of past misunderstandings, converging into a quiet sense of possibility. On the coffee table, the old canvas depicting Max in his prime rested, now cleaned, restored, and framed, a testament to time, loyalty, and love regained. Max, once frail and overlooked, now sat alert and dignified, his soft, wise eyes reflecting a flicker of hope that had long been absent. His collar gleamed warmly in the light, a symbol of unwavering loyalty, no longer a reminder of neglect, but of steadfast devotion. The family, faces softened with remorse and awe, slowly approached the canvas, their hands trembling as they reached out. The mother gently touched the frame, her eyes glistening with tears. "Look at him. That's the Max we forgot. He was our heart." The father, voice thick with emotion, nodded as he stared at the painting, remembering the days when loyalty was effortless and love unspoken but deeply felt. The young daughter, clutching one of Max's favorite toys, looked at him wistfully. He was more than a pet. He was always there, even when we didn't see it. Max's tail gently thumped the soft rug as he rose slowly, each movement a deliberate act of grace intertwined with silent gratitude. He stepped toward the family, and for a moment, silence enveloped the room. No words needed to bridge the abyss of lost years. In a collective, breath-held gesture, the family gathered around Max, forming a circle of reconciliation. The young daughter reached out, slowly wrapping her arms around his tired shoulders, whispering softly, "We see you now, old friend. We finally see you." Max's eyes met hers, and unspoken promise whispered through the gentle contact. The weight of neglect lifted, replaced by the quiet certainty that loyalty, once dismissed, could be rekindled through simple acts of love and acknowledgement. As the golden light bathed the room, a new sense of resolve blossomed. The shadows of the past receded, and in their place, a fragile but radiant dawn emerged, an unspoken vow to cherish the present and honor the bonds that time had tried to erode. Outside, the breeze stirred the curtains, carrying with it the scent of blooming flowers, a symbol of renewal and hope. Max, now at peace, settled comfortably into a new corner beside the window, his eyes closed but his heart alive with a quiet victory. The scene faded into a panoramic shot of the house bathed in golden light, a sanctuary of forgiveness and love. Every corner, every cherished portrait, whispered stories of loyalty reclaimed. The day had begun anew, fragile yet unbreakably, a testament that even in the deepest darkness, love persists, patiently waiting to be seen. In that gentle moment, the house seemed to breathe in unison with the returning warmth, a haven where silence finally spoke and hearts finally understood. The room, once shadowed by doubt and misunderstanding, now shimmered with a gentle radiance. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows, casting a warm, golden hue across the walls decorated with memories and vibrant murals of their past. Max, his fur glowing softly in the light, sat upright, eyes luminous with a new clarity, a calm strength radiating from his venerable frame. The weight of neglect and regret was lifting, replaced by an unshakable quiet dignity. The family gathered close, eyes moist with unspoken remorse. The young daughter reached out first, her fingers delicately tracing the canvas of her beloved Maji's vibrant younger self. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, filled with reverence and apology. "You were always here, loyal and true. We just didn't see it." The father, older now, voice trembling with emotion, nodded. "Your loyalty has carried us through more than we realized. We've been blind to it, but today, we see." The mother's hands trembled as she gently pressed her palm to Max's fur, a silent vow that love and loyalty could yet be restored. Max, feeling the gentle touch, closed his eyes, a faint sigh escaping an affirmation that he was again part of their story. Outside, the garden bloomed anew, flowers reaching towards the sky as if celebrating a long-lost harmony, and echo of the reconciliation blossoming within. The golden light, filtering through the swaying leaves, seemed to wrap the entire room in a tender embrace, a symbol of renewed hope. Max rose slowly, his movements deliberate and regal, each step a testament to resilience and the unbreakable bond that time and misunderstanding had tried to sever. He moved to the canvas, resting his chin lightly against the painted image, an eternal reminder of love, loyalty, and the silent strength that had endured. A deep breath, filled with the scent of blooming life and forgiveness, filled the room. The tension, once palpable with the weight of unspoken sorrows, now dissolved into a peaceful calm. The family shared a look and unspoken acknowledgement that this was only the beginning of healing, that trust once fractured could be mended with patience, love, and quiet resolve. The scene faded with a panoramic view of the house bathed in warm light, the canvas a luminous centerpiece of the room, an enduring testament to loyalty and the unspoken bond that now, more than ever, bound them all together. A gentle breeze stirred the curtains, whispering promises of a future built on understanding and unwavering devotion. The sun was setting over the quiet neighborhood, casting a soft, amber glow that bathed every corner in a gentle warmth. The house stood tranquil, a silent witness to the years of pain and healing that had unfolded within its walls. Max, now older but resolute, lay calmly on the porch, his coat shimmering softly in the fading light, an emblem of quiet dignity and a life thoroughly lived. His eyes, tender and deep, reflected the horizon's glow, carrying the weight of a journey that culminated in understanding. Beside him, the family gathered slowly, their faces softened by the glow of reconciliation. The mother reached out first, her hand trembling as she gently stroked Max's head, a silent apology lingering in her touch. The father, with a gentle smile, looked at Max with a renewed respect that words could not fully convey. "You've always been here," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "Even when we didn't see." The young daughter, holding a cherished family photo, looked at Max with tear-brimmed eyes. "We should have known, all along," she said softly. "Your loyalty was our true story." Max let out a slow, contented sigh, leaning into their touch, the collar around his neck, a worn but shining symbol of loyalty, catching the last rays of the sun. In that quiet moment, silence spoke volumes of forgiveness, of love reclaimed, of bonds reforged in the crucible of pain and patience. The light from the horizon stretched upward, tender and persistent, illuminating their faces and the canvas that stood near, be a testament to the past. The painting, once obscured by neglect and misunderstanding, now shimmered in the warm glow, revealing the vibrant trust and devotion that had always been there. As darkness threatened to settle, the scene held an unspoken promise of new beginnings rooted in the unwavering loyalty of a dog who had stood the test of time. The gentle breeze carried soft whispers of love and remembrance, blending with the tranquil hush of twilight. Max, with eyes half closed, finally rested his head on his paws, a quiet smile on his face, a silent acknowledgement that the long night of misunderstanding was over. The world, with all its chaos and shadows, had given way to peace, and in that peaceful pause, they saw the unbreakable bond that no silence could dissolve, an enduring love that would forever illuminate their hearts. The room was filled with a hush that seemed to breathe both relief and reverence. The faint glow of the setting sun streamed through the window, casting long, forgiving shadows across the walls, illuminating the cherished canvas that now hung as a testament, an everlasting symbol of loyalty, love, and redemption. Max rested quietly on the wooden floor, his head gently raised, eyes shining with a peaceful wisdom, mirroring the tranquil light that bathed the room. The family gathered in a slow circle around him, their faces softened by recent tears, their spirits finally at peace. The young daughter reached out and laid her palm on Max's rough fur, eyes moist with a mixture of gratitude and unspoken apology. Her voice was tender, trembling but true. "You've been the one constant. The silent hero just didn't see it until now." The father's voice cracked as he looked at the canvas and then at Max, the years of misunderstanding dissolving into a silent vow of renewed loyalty. "We almost lost you, and we almost lost what truly matters." Max's tail gently thumped behind Hema, quiet, rhythmic affirmation, his gaze meeting theirs with a depth that had endured beyond words, beyond time. In that moment, silence spoke more profoundly than ever before, the unspoken language of forgiveness, of bonds reforged, of hearts unburdened. The old canvas glowed softly in the dying light, the image of youthful vitality now immortalized, yet, more than that, it bore witness to the timeless loyalty that had bound them all. A symbol of the past they must remember but also of the future they now embraced. The city's distant hum faded into the background as the scene held a sacred pause, a testament etched into time. Max, the steadfast guardian, blinked slowly, contentment radiating from every gentle movement, every beat of his heart. The family's proudest achievement was no longer the paintings or the attic's secrets, but the unbreakable bond they nurtured, their shared journey from loss to understanding. As the golden light faded into twilight, the scene shifted to a cinematic wide shot. The family and dog, united and whole, bathed in the warm glow of love and forgiveness. The canvas now hung prominently, a timeless heirloom of loyalty, a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal in the presence of unwavering devotion. The camera lingered on Max's peaceful face, then slowly panned to the now tranquil house, silent and timeless, a sanctuary where love endured beyond misunderstandings and silences. The scene closed with a sweeping shot of the horizon, the sky melting in hues of raspberry and lavender, an everlasting dawn of hope and reconciliation. The house was silent now, bathed in the soft, golden hues of dawn spilling through the windows. The gentle light danced over the walls, illuminating the canvas that hung as a testament to a long-overdue recognition, a portrait that finally revealed the loyalty, love, and silent strength of Max. His figure, captured in strokes of warm earth tones and vivid color, seemed to glow with a life renewed, a quiet triumph over years of misunderstanding. Max, older and wiser than when captured on that canvas, rested peacefully before it, his breath slow and even. The collar that once held symbols of neglect now shimmered softly in the morning light, its worn edges a reminder of unwavering loyalty, a silent testament that love endures beyond words, beyond the passage of time. Around him, the family gathered softly, their faces luminous with gratitude and heartfelt remorse. The young daughter gently brushed her fingertips over Max's fur, a quiet gesture of forgiveness and love. Her voice was soft but steady, carrying the weight of all that had been lost and now found again. "You've been here all along, in our hearts," she whispered, gazing at the portrait and the gentle old dog whose eyes, despite years of silence and suffering, still held the memories of devotion. The mother and father exchanged a glance, their expressions touched with a profound understanding born of remorse and hope. Every misstep, every moment of neglect melted into the air, replaced by a shared vow to protect, to honor, and to forever cherish loyalty that had survived the shadows. Outside, the world had awakened anew, the sunlight spilling across the sky, touching the earth with a forgiving embrace. The house, once a sanctuary of silence and misunderstanding, now stood as a testament to reconciliation, a place where love once silenced was finally allowed to speak. Max lifted his head slowly, his gaze meeting theirs with a gentle, knowing wisdom. His eyes, lingering on the canvas, seemed to whisper silent words, the unspoken love that had endured through all the chaos and neglect. A hush fell, no need for words, no need for explanations, only the quiet resonance of a bond restored. Max's slow, deliberate breaths synchronized with the gentle rhythm of a world at peace. The camera pulled back, capturing the scene, the family, the portrait, the old dog, and the dawn woven together in a timeless tableau. The stillness was profound, a pause in time where silence spoke louder than words, where love and loyalty transcended all misunderstandings. In that moment of perfect serenity, the last light of dawn poured over them all, a gentle, everlasting reminder. Some bonds are unbreakable, some hearts unchangeable, and love's enduring power can bring peace even after the darkest storms. What hidden stories have you uncovered in your life?